Hello y'all, this is RJ here in Georgetown, South Carolina. Here in this historic section of the state. This is the third oldest city in the state of South Carolina, right on the far eastern side. The county borders the Winyah Bay, which flows directly into the Atlantic Ocean. In particular, this is Antipedo Baptist Cemetery, established back in 1729. It's right off this fairly busy road here. It speaks about Antipedo Baptist Church. This 1 acre lot was reserved for Antipedo Baptist by Screven, a brick builder before the Revolution for the Baptists, Presbyterians and Independents. You can read the rest about this. So definitely a very historic old cemetery right through here. This memorial right here was built in respect and in memorial to Company A, those who served from this area. It's built out of zinc, and there's definitely pros and cons to building things out of zinc. One is the zinc is pretty hard, so it stays, the lettering and the detail stays pretty consistent over a period of time. It doesn't weather very much, but it does crack and can cave in, and the metal can just cave in at some point. And I'll share that with you and what's happening here and what they're gonna have to do at some point. This is dedicated to Company A. Company A, rally on the rights group. Commence firing, don't mind us. It was the best company I ever saw in the service, said the general here. And it's covered on all four sides by the names of those who answered the call. They did their duty to serve and protect and defend their homes, their family, and their homelands in America's bloodiest war. This is dedicated back in 1891. And you can see on all four sides, well, at least three of the sides, and also down here, and I like how they also include not just their names, but their status, like died, discharged, or wounded, a chaplain, died, killed in Atlanta, wounded in Chickamauga, and so forth. You can see this zinc. This is part of the problem with having this kind of material, which is revolutionary at the time. And it is starting to cave in right here. And at some point they are going to have to try to fix this. But it will be very costly, of course. And who's going to do that? See those who are from the privates right here. Those who were discharged or died, promoted, injured at different places, wounded, killed in action, and so forth. And right here, the privates. Wounded in Chickamauga, discharged, died of wounds, wounded in Atlanta, captured, promoted, detached. I like how they have that information there, like that. It's a beautiful memorial. It actually used to be right there, right down this road, just a little over a quarter mile down this road by Winyah, St. George's Church that just celebrated its 300th year. It used to be right there on the intersection. It was moved here a few decades ago, as I understand. I'm not sure what time frame, but this memorial right here was dedicated back in 1891. And I love the commentary. If you want to know why they fought and who made these memorials, it was usually done by the grieving family members, the mothers, the wives, the sisters, the daughters, family, friends. This is erected by the women of Georgetown, assisted by friends elsewhere, and dedicated to the men who died or faced death in the war that asserted constitutional liberty and affirmed our manhood, 1891. Erected to Company A, as it says up there. Corinth Bentonville. Now I'm going to make a transition, look at some of the other headstones around here, including some of the Confederate headstones are in the background, the ones that are very fortunate to actually have headstones. I'm sure made possible by tons of Confederate veterans or other groups like that who really care. I want to recognize the service of those who served in America's bloodiest, largest war. Many other are buried in unmarked graves. It's important to have these memorials to them. This one right here is a memorial to the actual founder who founded Georgetown about 1730, 1705. Within a nearby lot is the Screven graveyard. Over here, a few Confederate soldiers that are buried right here. Robert Mustard. Private Thomas Weeks. Private William Thompson. Thomas Dickinson. Some others over here. Confederate memorial in the background. So this Georgetown is just a little over an hour's drive north of Charleston, South Carolina, where the actual war kind of basically broke out. This is especially important to me because I have family members who were born, lived, and died here. In fact, one of my great-great-great-grandfathers is in the nearby cemetery in the St. George's Winya graveyard. That's right there. That church is being renovated right now. Looking forward to returning to seeing it when it's done. Now just walking through here and seeing a few other headstones and markers. So I like to go through old cemeteries. This is a historical old cemetery. This is dedicated to William Screven, a pioneer Baptist preacher of Somerton, England, immigrated to Maine, forced to leave that state for preaching the gospel, came south with a group of Baptists to organize First Baptist Church in the South. In 1683 at Charleston, served as the First Baptist Church there until 1706, died in 1713, and buried in private yard at Georgetown, South Carolina. So a memorial to him. Over here is a memorial to those who were congregants. And it also has a little asterisk for those who served in the Confederate South Carolina Regiment right here, for example. So here's some of the names, and so you can see some of those. And this is to the Antipedo Baptist Church. This is their graveyard, their cemetery right here. Fairly busy intersection right here on this Church Street. On the intersection of Church Street and Severn Street here in Georgetown, South Carolina. Make a transition over here to see the different memorials. This is often a very somber place, very humbling. Come through here, the final resting place of many, like, for example, this person. To the memory of Susan, wife of someone departed this life in her prime, it says, and left behind by her bereaved husband. A lot of these headstones here have been knocked down, unfortunately crushed. Some are in pieces. There's quite a few missing. This one was knocked over somehow, unfortunately. That's what we gotta do. That's why I really appreciate cemetery societies who come here and try to maintain these as much as they can. Broken headstones right here. It's getting tougher and tougher to read these. That's why it's so important to kind of capture and document these. When I travel around, I take photos for primarily on billion graves, but also I've made a lot of contributions on Find a Grave. So I contribute to both Find a Grave and Billion Graves. The difference is Billion Graves will actually tag the GPS on all the photos. And so when I take the photos of cemeteries like this, then the photo is uploaded and somebody out there that I've never met can then transcribe it, and it is then placed in a database where somebody can do a research from the comforts of their home, and they can go find if they have an ancestor or a relative, if they're doing some genealogies and looking at their family tree, for those genealogists out there. So I like to share these. This one's tough to read, but you can see there must be so much pressure because this headstone that was broken off now looks like it's supporting the weight almost of this tree that's been growing up around it. A lot of pressure and weight there. The headstone, I wish I could capture who that is. Looks like there were some transients, maybe some homeless back here, left a bunch of trash. I think that's despicable to be able to do that. Come on, have some respect. I was taught in Boy Scouts to leave no trace and be respectful. Now, you don't have to be in Boy Scouts to learn that. It's just common sense. Be respectful, leave no trace. Leave the place better than you left it, if you can. There's another Confederate soldier right there. A few other memorials. Now, I'm not going to walk all this, but you can see from this angle the Confederate memorial that's just right over here. And then I'm going to walk over to, I may not do it right here, but maybe I will. Actually, maybe I will. I'll walk over across the street because there is a American Legion, and they have a really nice display of different wars and some information about each. American Legions usually involves foreign wars, but I'm glad they also recognize those who served right here in America, in America's largest bloodiest war. So there's some other memorials right through here. I'm not going to focus on these too much. And beautiful perspective from this angle right here. I have the Confederate memorial here. Spanish moss coming off there like that. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up actually. But the VFW, you can see some of the memorials right over here, right across the street. You see some partial, each one of those represents a different war. It's part of the American Legion, VFW. Looks like a combined effort right over there. So once again, sharing this with you, here in Georgetown, what I think I'll do is walk along the side here. This is more kind of along the sidewalk. Here at Antipedo Baptist Cemetery, established back in 1729. Take care, y'all. Once again from Georgetown, South Carolina.